Everyone believed her, until the judge told the bailiff to take her into custody. She was already smiling when I walked into the courtroom, like this was just another meeting she planned to dominate. Hair perfect, suit tailored, hands folded like she was the victim of a misunderstanding. People like her always think the room belongs to them. Marissa Holt was the CFO of a regional healthcare network, 42 clinics, hundreds of millions in Medicare reimbursements. She hired me herself as an internal audit consultant after an anonymous compliance complaint hit the board. She told everyone I was extra insurance. She told me privately, I need someone thorough, not paranoid. That word stuck with me. In my first week, I noticed the payments. Not the big ones, the small, repeating ones. Always just under the threshold that required board review. Fridays, right before cutoff. Then quiet reversals the following Monday, reposted under new invoice numbers, same amounts, different vendors. I didn't accuse anyone. I asked for documentation. Marissa leaned against my office door and said, those vendors have been vetted for years. You don't need to reopen settled relationships. I just need the contracts, she smiled. I'll get them. She never did. Instead, she started correcting me in meetings. Subtle at first. That's not how reimbursements post. We've already reviewed that, executives nodded. She had that confidence people mistake for competence. I stopped challenging her publicly. I took notes. I pulled raw data. That's when I saw the routing numbers. 3 vendors, different names, same bank, same branch. I ran entity searches after hours. All 3 listed the same registered agent, her brother. I didn't confront her. I copied everything. Transaction logs, approval timestamps, IP addresses tied to her work laptop. I built a timeline. 2 weeks later, she called me into a conference room with HR and legal already seated. No warning, no email. She slid a termination letter across the table and said, we're ending this engagement for cause. You've been disruptive, legal added. You'll need to sign a non-disclosure agreement. I didn't touch the paper. Marissa crossed her arms. You don't have leverage here. I said, before termination, I'm required to submit my audit memo. She laughed. To who? CMS and the Department of Justice. That was the first crack, not fear. Anger. She stood up. This is retaliation. He's bluffing. I opened my laptop and said, then this will be quick. Emails, vendor invoices, approval logs, a spreadsheet tying $4.2 million in Medicare funds to shell companies controlled by her brother. Legal stopped scrolling. HR went pale. Marissa's smile vanished. This data was stolen, she snapped. Legal closed the laptop. Meeting adjourned. Security escorted me out. Not her, me. 3 days later, federal agents knocked on my door. They didn't arrest me. They asked me to explain my memo. I did. Calm, linear. I handed them the drive. 6 months later, Marissa was indicted. When the trial started, she looked smaller than I remembered. Still confident, but quieter. The prosecutor opened with dates, amounts, and bank records. Defense argued she was careless, not criminal. Then they called me. Why did you begin investigating these vendors? The prosecutor asked. Because the timing didn't make sense. Defense stood. Speculation. Overruled, the judge said. I walked the jury through the pattern. Fridays, Mondays, approval times after business hours, the IP addresses, the shared bank accounts, then the texts. Defense tried to shift it. You were fired, correct? Yes, for poor performance, for refusing to sign an NDA. Marissa stared at the table. Prosecution asked, permission to publish Exhibit 47. The screen lit up with her text message. Push the invoice tonight. I'll approve after dinner. Timestamped. Location tagged. Same night. Same transfer. Her lawyer leaned in. I told you they didn't have your phone. The jury didn't react. They didn't need to. On the 4th day, Marissa took the stand. She said, I trusted my team. The prosecutor asked, did you approve the invoice on March 14th at 9:42 p.m.? Yes. Where were you? At home. The prosecutor clicked again. Security footage. Her badge. Entering the office at 9:38 p.m. Another click. Laptop IP. Another click. Transfer confirmation. She swallowed. I don't recall. The judge leaned forward. Answer the question, she whispered. Yes. A verdict came back in 3 hours. Guilty on wire fraud. Guilty on healthcare fraud. Guilty on conspiracy. Not at sentencing. She tried one last time. I made mistakes. The judge said, You orchestrated theft from public healthcare funds. 84 months. When the marshal cuffed her, she looked back at me like she expected something. An apology. A reaction. I didn't give her one. The cell door closed, and I went back to work the next Monday. The appeal paperwork hit my inbox 6 months later, not because she mentioned me by name, but because my audit memo was now labeled central to conviction. Her attorney argued misconduct, selective prosecution, data misinterpretation. Same confidence, different room. I wasn't surprised when she tried again. People like Marissa don't accept endings. They treat consequences like delays. By then, she was already inside. Federal intake facility, low security, white-collar wing. The kind of place she probably told herself she could manage. I found out later she arrived in heels and a blazer, complained about the mattress, demanded to speak to someone in charge. The officer processing her asked for her shoes. She hesitated. He repeated himself. She handed them over. That was the first time no one cared who she was. 2 weeks after intake, her brother was arrested. Different case number. Same evidence. They pulled his records, found additional shell companies, additional transfers. He flipped in under 48 hours. He didn't protect her. He detailed everything. How she structured it. How she coached him on invoice language. How she told him, if anyone asks, it's consulting. That killed the appeal. I testified again during his plea hearing. Shorter this time. Cleaner. The judge asked, was this coordinated? I said, yes. He said, thank you. That was it. Inside, she didn't adapt well. She tried to organize the other inmates. Finance advice. I can help you manage commissary. It lasted a week. Someone reported her for manipulating accounts. She lost phone privileges for 30 days. When they came back, she tried calling old contacts. Most numbers didn't work anymore. One did. Mine. I stared at the voicemail notification for a long time before listening. Her voice was different. Controlled. Careful. I need you to correct the record, she said. You misunderstood things. If you help clarify, I can make this right. She still thought this was a negotiation. I saved the message. I forwarded it to the prosecutor. 2 days later, she was moved units for attempting witness contact. Restricted movement. No email. No calls. That was written into her file. At year 2, she got written up again. Altercation in the cafeteria. She accused another inmate of stealing from her tray. Grabbed her wrist. Cameras caught it. 30 days in segregation. No privileges. No books for the first week. Silence. That's when she started unraveling. Her attorney withdrew. Her appeals exhausted. Her sentence recalculated with loss of good time credits. Release date pushed back by 8 months. She filed a complaint claiming harassment. It went nowhere. I saw her one last time during a post-conviction financial recovery hearing. The government was clawing back assets. Retirement accounts, property, jewelry seized from a safety deposit box she forgot existed. She sat behind the defense table, thinner, hair unstyled, hands shaking when the judge spoke. Do you contest the forfeiture? The judge asked. She looked at her attorney. He didn't look back. No, she said. The gavel came down. When it was over, she turned and searched the gallery. Found me. Her eyes didn't ask for forgiveness. They asked for acknowledgement. I stood up, closed my notebook, and walked out before the marshals touched her. The record was already closed. I'm a small content creator, so if you would like and subscribe, it would really make my day.